Hello and welcome once again to another edition of Andy's Blog. This week we find Andy in Leon and Granada in Nicaragua, where he'll have many a great misadventure, including trips to the lake, eating new and exciting food, and getting a little too drunk in a treehouse. Watch on for more.
Thanks, Tim, and welcome to the blog. So yes, live, and I've got loads of stuff I want to talk about this week. I'm in Nicaragua, so I think at the end of my last blog we'd just done that really kind of crazy journey from El Salvador into Nicaragua, and just got to the city of Leon. So for the last week or so I've been in that city of Leon, and then also in the city of Granada, which is about 3 hours or so away, at the north of the Lake Nicaragua, which is like an enormous lake in the middle of Nicaragua. If you haven't ever seen what that looks like, it's huge. It's like a massive chunk of the country with a big island in the middle. So to cover off quickly what I did in Leon, we had a couple of fails in Leon. Leon's a really cool city. It's sort of a couple 100,000 people, kind of really bustling, quite a lot of tourists there, but it's not a tourist town as such. Had to walk around. The one cool thing we did was go to the Revolution Museum. Nicaragua's been through some crazy political stuff over the last 100 years, and this is probably not the format to tell you all about it, but it's definitely worth a read, especially in the last year, sort of like 30-40 years. One interesting thing that did happen at the museum, other than learning all about their crazy political history, is he took us up onto the roof of the museum, and he's like, yeah, come up, take a look and walk around. It was dodgy, the roof was falling through. I checked, I mean, just look at this. We're on top of the Museum of the Revolution in Nicaragua. We spent the last 45 minutes listening to this guy tell us about the revolution. Didn't really understand a lot of what he was saying, and now we're on the roof, which, as you can see, we've got a lot of holes in it. Doesn't feel that safe. The view is quite cool though. That's a cathedral, and there's basically volcanoes everywhere you look. Yeah, that's dodgy. So, I mean, no one fell through. I guess they knew what they were doing, but I was kind of terrified. Other than that, we tried on two of the days we were there to do the free walking tour around the city, which is usually kind of good. First day it turned out it was shut because it was Sunday, and the next day on Monday the guy was ill, so we didn't do it and moved on. But other than that, Leon was a really cool town. Took the bus, 3-hour bus to Granada, kind of near where I am now. That was great. So the travel-wise, Rich and I are still travelling with Henry, who got a little bit of airtime on the last blog, and is, you know, kind of a sweet, very young, just turned 19-year-old firefighter. But we're also travelling with a guy called Tim, who's sort of like 25, 26. Tim is one of the most interesting people I've met. He has got the deepest voice that you've ever heard. I think hopefully you'll have seen him at the start of this blog. I'm going to try and get him to record an intro, so you might have already heard it, but if not, this is just him. This is how he talks all the time. This is him talking about a meal that we were eating when we were hungover. Hungover eatings. Tim, what have you got there, mate?
I have no idea. I think that this is like spicy fermented cabbage, which is typically a thing that I would avoid. However, today, there's something about like the vinegar and the salt and the spice and the texture of the leaf that is really going. It's like coming home.
Thanks, mate. That was absolutely perfect. So, having him cruising around with you and narrating what you're doing, as well as giving some quite sort of insightful political commentary along the way, has been an enjoyable last couple of weeks. Other stuff we did in Granada, met up with an Australian couple called Will and Ness, who I had done that crazy volcano hike with. We did another like volcano trip, which was in no way the same as the other one, but there's another active volcano just kind of near here. It's not a hike, you just drive up there in the evening, get to the top, and the difference with this one, as opposed to the last one which is exploding from a distance, you can look down into the crater. Now, it wasn't, I think my expectations were a little bit high after the last one, because you couldn't see quite into the crater, and we got there and it was raining. It's like the only rain we've seen. So this is the only photo I took. yeah, I mean, it's an orange smudge, so it doesn't really tell you, but it was kind of cool, to be honest, to be up there. Like, you've got this big crater and this orange glow through all of the mist, and it felt kind of weird and a bit magical, so that was kind of cool, but yeah, not quite the highs of the last one, literally and metaphorically. But yeah, that was good. Other than that, Granada is a really nice sort of tourist town. I had to walk around. As I said, it's right on the lake. I'm on top of the tallest building in Granada, Nicaragua. Next to a massive bell. Lol. Pretty good views. That's the rest of the church, and you can probably see some volcanoes in the distance. Not the prettiest of beaches going, but the lake is absolutely huge. It looks like the sea. Lake Nicaragua is basically a lake that's, well, this big. Yeah, so saw some bits and pieces there, and then we also took a little boat ride. There's like these, they're called the is it isletas or islanditas? I'm not quite sure, but we took a little boat around there and went swimming in the lake too, which is really nice. So some of these islands are like literally tiny, like the size of a house, and they're just all dotted around together. So that's a really beautiful place to kind of spend a day. So that was really nice.
Lesbian vampire out of space.
Good tune, Tim. And now we finished listening to Lesbian Vampires from Outer Space. Welcome to the little islas on the Lake Nicaragua. Each one of these is like a tiny little island with a house on it. It's gorgeous. Oh, there's a little bar over there.
Maybe that's where we're going to chill out.
Yeah, this is like posh Nicaragua. And then, so the other main thing that we did in Granada, so we'd heard about this hostel called the Treehouse Hostel, which a lot of travellers talk about. It's like the definition of this party hostel, which is about 20 minutes out of the town. I had no inclination to stay there. I wanted to stay in the town. It's in the middle of the jungle. It sounded really cool. Rich was obviously like so bang up for it that he booked himself in for 4 nights, although the first night he was too hungover to actually make it there, so he stayed in the hostel with me. So Rich and Henry went off and stayed in the treehouse. I went along one night. They were doing an open mic night for a party. It was really good. It's so much fun dancing around in the treehouse. I think there's enough videos of me singing and playing guitar on the internet, so I'm not going to chuck in a whole big one here. But just a couple of other people. The guy who owns it was absolutely brilliant too, and he was just singing and like, blasting some tunes out.
Use on evidence, embrace it all around. There goes my hero, watching Mexico. There goes my hero.
And other than that, I got really smashed to like probably as drunk as I've been on the trip, which was a lot of fun, but I really paid the price the next day. And then I got ill at the end of the following day, so I spent the next few days in bed. So, you know, what goes up, but it was, I think now I'm feeling better. It was probably worth it. I don't think it was, you know, one night out for kind of 2 days out of my trip, but that was a lot of fun. And now where I am, just to finish it off, I haven't actually shown you this yet, but we're only about 20 minutes away from Granada. This is called Laguna Boy Yoga, which is like an old volcanic crater with this gorgeous lake, beautiful lagoon lake. We're staying in sitting in the hostel right now that we're staying on. We just came up here to chill out for a couple of days before we get moving again. Oh, it's just so beautiful. The lake is fresh. It's swimming. I got up this morning at like 5:45 and watched the sunrise here, and a couple of snaps. I mean, just look at this. So yeah, that was absolutely beautiful, and otherwise just swimming around. Going to take some kayaks out later. Yeah, this is like a little bit of paradise, and it's not even that expensive. So yeah, all in all, amazing first week in Nicaragua, kind of following the trail. We've got few different options of what we want to do next. Our plan was to fly to the Corn Islands, which are these tropical islands on the Caribbean coast, but we've heard the weather there's a bit crap, so we may go to somewhere on the beach somewhere else, but you know, you'll find out when I do next week. And overall, another great week on the road. You know, as always, hit me up with a message, let me know how you're doing. I hope everyone's well back home, and yeah, big love to you. Mwah. Hello. Hello. Hello.